Washington, D.C. is my favorite city. It is where history meets culture, meets life and fun and energy and politics. And it's just, everything that you could possibly ask for in a place to live, a place to work, a place to explore and to find yourself and express yourself. My name is Stephanie Zhang. I live in one of the suburbs of Washington, D.C. I grew up visiting the city, whether it was going to museums or seeing some of the sites like the Washington Monument or the Lincoln Memorial. That was my childhood growing up. I could tell you about these museums like they're the back of my hand. I started being a tour guide about 2 years ago. You meet people from all over the world, all over the United States, of course. I get to show people this great city. I feel like I grew up in this city. This is home to me, and it really means something special if I get to share that with people from wherever they might be from. The Capitol building was first constructed in 1793, making it the second oldest federally occupied building in all of Washington, second only to the White House. That tiny lady at the very top of the dome up there, that's Lady Freedom. And Lady Freedom actually isn't tiny at all. In fact, standing at 19.5 feet tall, she is the tallest freestanding statue in all of Washington, D.C. And that is actually a very strict rule they have here in the city. No other statues, whether it's Lincoln or MLK, are allowed to be taller than 19.5 feet like she is. And that is because, so they say, that nothing, no person, no figure will stand taller than this country's freedom. My favorite place to give tours would have to be at the Korea and the Vietnam War memorials. Those memorials in particular, they're not just representing or honoring a specific person. They're honoring a group of people who served this country, gave their lives for this country, and really stood up for what they and what this country believe in, that concept of freedom and liberty, and they died for that. And so for me, and I think for a lot of my guests, those memorials in particular just kind of have that extra bit of meaning to them. The Vietnam Wall was designed by Maya Lin, a 21-year-old architecture student. If you actually look at the wall, especially during the daytime, you would notice that you could see your reflection against the names on the wall. And that's on purpose, and that is to kind of show this connection between the past and the present. Beyond just the memorials and the sites and the museums and the historic buildings, Washington, D.C. also has quite a few historic neighborhoods. They have a lot of culture, they have a lot of art, a lot of places to eat and hang out. The neighborhoods also really make Washington, D.C. more than just the historic shrine that it is. It's also a real place where people live and work and express themselves. The Shaw neighborhood and the U Street corridor are part of a historically African-American neighborhood. It was at one point a thriving cultural center based in jazz and a lot of historic music theaters and clubs. To this day, it's still very cultural. There's a lot of places to eat, places to shop, there are a lot of nightclubs. There's also a lot of music theaters that still exist today, like Lincoln Theater. So it's a very lively part of Washington, D.C. Georgetown is one of the most famous districts of Washington, D.C. It dates back to the 1600s when the British first colonized this area, and it's been a port for as long as Georgetown has existed. It's actually one of the most affluent neighborhoods in the area. Lots of senators living here. There are lots of shops and lots of restaurants. There's actually a pretty good mix of small businesses as well as chain stores. You see hipster places like Baked and Wired. We also see popular places like Georgetown Cupcakes. One of the highlights of Georgetown is the Washington Harbor. That's a popular destination. People love to go there and take the boat cruise. on the Potomac. You can get a great view of the water, of the DC skyline. One of the biggest attractions in Washington, D.C. is actually D.C.'s food scene. Washington, D.C. has a huge variety of food places and restaurants. There's a large diversity ranging from Japanese. There's also Ethiopian food, Peruvian food, just as a couple of examples, but there's a huge range of cultures represented. You ask anyone in the city and they can list off numerous places to go to eat. There's never a shortage of places to go for food in Washington. Anyone who comes to Washington, D.C., no matter what their background or what they're interested in, will definitely find something for them here, something to enjoy, whether it's the history, whether it's the museums, the knowledge that is packed into the city. There's also, of course, fun. There's clubs, there's tons and tons of restaurants and shops, both day and night. It's an endless city that has endless amounts of things to do and to explore.